Let me do this?
Yeah. Of course.
I'd like to call this meeting to order. If you would, follow along with the Pledge of Allegiance and an invocation from Eric Schmidt.
Our Father in heaven, we are very grateful to Thee to come together today as a city and for the projects that we have lined up. Father, we are so grateful to Thee for this community, the support that we have, and for the willingness of the leaders and the community to help fund those things that are needed to help us do business better so that ultimately we can take care of our community, our visitors, and our businesses. Father, we ask Thee now to please bless us with Thy Spirit, that we might be able to have good discussion without personalities or emotions getting in the way, and that we may be able to discuss the affairs of the city tactfully and professionally. And we ask these things in the name of Thy Son, as well as a blessing on this community throughout the rest of the year. We say these things in the name of Thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you very much, Chief. Madam Clerk, can we get a roll call, please?
Lucas. Here. Denham. Here. Cooper.
Here.
Milton.
Here.
Howden. Here. LeBlanc.
Here.
Schultz.
Here.
Your Honor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. I'd like to start the meeting off with a recognition for Branson Christian Church. Is anybody in the audience from the church? Come on up. Centennial? How long is centennial? And you all founded this. Well, this is a special recognition, and I'd like to read it. Whereas Branson Christian Church, Disciples of Christ, was founded 1 century ago in 1924. Property was purchased early on and donated, in part, by the enduring leaders of Branson, the Parnell family, and the Parnell family. Following fundraising by the Ladies' Aid Society, now Christians Women's Fellowship, the church was first built and dedicated in 1926, with the current structure commencing in the 1940s. Whereas Branson Christian Church is instrumental in starting Christian Action Ministries, Lakes Counseling, Clothe a Child program for low-income families, and By the Way thrift store. Whereas Branson Christian Church has been serving hot cocoa and cookies to the public at the Adoration Parade since 1957. I personally partake in the hot cocoa. Whereas Branson Christian Church helped make the restroom portion of Branson's Liberty Plaza possible. Therefore, in support of the century of community participation and in acknowledgement of the 150 members of the church, I, Larry Milton, Mayor of Branson, deliver this special recognition, the Centennial of Branson Christian Church.
Kathy, get ready to smile.
We're gonna have to get Maria a little.
I take you bunny ears. That's all right. Better than devil horn.
If you didn't know, we're the second oldest church in Branson, but we're the oldest church in the original building. What they did in the late 40s and early 50s, and we have pictures of this, the original church was now our fellowship hall, and they built up, whereas the Presbyterian church moved a half a block. So we're the oldest church in our original spot. Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby. Kids. Madam Clerk, we have public comments tonight.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is the public comment section of the Board of Aldermen meeting. At this time, the board will hear the citizens who have signed up in the order they are listed. Please note the clerk will let speakers know when they have 30 seconds left, and a notification will sound when their time is up. We ask that speakers wrap up their comments upon hearing the 30-second warning. If a speaker would like a board member to bring an item from the consent agenda down for additional discussion, please note this request during comments. Madam Clerk?
Our first speaker is Candace Cook speaking on crypto mining.
Hello, Candace.
Hello, Mayor. Hello, Aldermen, and hello, citizens. First, I want to thank you so much for allowing me to speak today, and it's always a pleasure. 14 years ago, I moved here from a little town called Murphy, North Carolina. And I kept in touch with my friends, and I continued the subscription to the paper to keep up with the people I knew. And now fast forward to September of 2021. The Chinese government banned crypto and kicked crypto miners out of the country. Unsuspecting small towns, America, with no or minimal regulations, suddenly became homes to these crypto mines. Murphy was one. It threw Murphy into turmoil, and it lasts till this day. The unrelenting demand for electricity was one reason China banned cryptocurrency, touching off a virtual gold rush from Appalachia to New York's Finger Lakes. Crypto miners began putting down stakes in places where power is cheap and affordable. And if land use or noise regulations even exist, enforcement is weak. I'm going to repeat that. Noise regulations and land usage regulations. Put that in the back of your mind. What is crypto mining? Has anybody heard of this before? Anybody ever heard the term crypto mine? Okay. You're ahead of the curve. It's the process of creating new bitcoins by solving extremely complicated math problems, algorithms that verify transactions in the currency. When a bitcoin is successfully mined, the miner receives a predetermined amount of bitcoin. What could possibly go wrong? I mean, it's a money-making operation, right? And you'll hear the people who come in and want to do this tell you that it is an economical boost, a financial boost to the area. Let's talk about what could go wrong. Power vampires. The ever-increasing usage of power, taxing the grid equipment, and increasing rates. Exponentially, the need for power in crypto mining increases every year. actually more than that, incrementally, so that it is a never-ending cycle of taxing your grid, and I mean stressing your grid, power outages. How do I know this? Because Murphy has sustained this. The electricity for one ASIC, which is one of the computers, used the same amount of electricity as 500,000 PlayStation 3 devices, according to a 2019 report from the Congressional Research Service. As the difficulty and complexity of Bitcoin mining has increased, the computing power required has also gone up. Bitcoin mining consumes about 176 terawatt hours, not kilowatt, terawatt hours of electricity each year, more than most countries, according to the Cambridge Bitcoin Electricity Consumption Index. You'd need 9 years' worth of typical U.S. household electricity. That's 9 years' worth of electricity to mine just one Bitcoin. So these are stats that I don't want to put you to sleep, but let's talk about some other things. Let's talk about the maddening hum. The maddening hum of the fans and the equipment is maddening.
30 seconds.
Thank you. The people in Murphy can attest that it has really disqualified their way of life. They can't sit outside. They can't work in their yards. They are abandoning things. There are health risks. Because this is in its infancy, there is no long-term study done yet on the impact it has in health. Also, with the increased need for the electricity, Microsoft has already talked about using nuclear reactors to supplement some of those things. And I'm sorry, I went over.
It's okay. Thank you, Candace.
Thank you. I sent this to you all, as you know, because we need to be aware and alert of what it can do with regard to our regulations and our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Candace.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
would it be possible for us to include the entirety of Candace's remarks in our minutes for tonight?
Sure.
Could we
All right,
do
Al.
that, Candace? Because it's all important, I've seen it.
Okay. What? No. He was asked,
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, yeah,
thank you.
thank you.
Madam Clerk, how many speakers do we have?
We have 4 left.
Okay, thank you.
And our next speaker is Deanna Slatton speaking on health safety.
Well, a lot's happened in the last couple of weeks. Arizona becomes the first U.S. state to declare the mRNA vaccines biological weapons of war, April 30th of 2024. Arizona has become the first U.S. state to pass a resolution declaring COVID-19 mRNA vaccines biological and technological weapons. All the things that I've been bringing to you. The Arizona GOP voted and passed the banned the jab resolution with a whopping 96% of the vote after it was submitted by Dan Schultz. Florida is officially classifying the mRNA COVID shots as illegal biological weapons, July 17, 2023. Sean, this is information that's been out for a while, and y'all are just now getting it. The proposed law seeks to ban the administration of mRNA vaccines and shots to anybody in the state. Now, I got a question for you all. The Chapter 34 that y'all filed, 2020 of March, is that still ongoing?
I don't know the answer. I will get the answer and get back with you.
Okay. When you get the answer and get back with me, I want us to set up some sort of system where we can check this stuff and make sure it's safe in the public, because this is being declared. Also, I need to know if the me see, what was it I was going to ask you? Hold on just one second. Oh, if we've got anybody that can monitor the 5G towers, do we have anybody that can do that? Monitor those towers?
I don't-
Because the 5G is part of this as well. So we need to get somebody to monitor the towers or get the city to look into it to see if they're safe. Holly's provided some information to us, but it's 38 years old. It's not current. So we need some current information. Now that you know that this has been declared, maybe you can call somebody and find out some of this information. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example of what these weaponries can do, right quick. What this weaponry can do, I'm going to give you an example of a dog. Are any of you familiar with a dog fence that's wireless? Any of you? You know how the dog is a wire? Well, I talked to a doctor today, and he knows all about the biomedical stuff, and he told me, yeah, you are a wire. Everybody in this room is one. You carry an energy, and they're going to use that energy. And funny thing, the lady that was just speaking here, she's talking about all this energy that they're going to have to require to do all this stuff. Where do you think they're going to get that? They're getting it from you. You're the wire. You're the energy they're going to pull from. So these are things that the public needs to know, because you, I'm sure, did not sign up for this. So let's look at it this way. Let's say
Deanna?
that, no, just a minute.
No, Deanna?
Let me finish my talk.
Please
Let me
don't-
finish. Can you ask me after?
No.
Okay. Ask me.
What I'm going to ask you is, what is it that you're discussing that this Board of Aldermen has any authority over?
Okay, so y'all are implementing things into the city. I do know that Kansas City, St. Louis, Cape Girardeau are all trying to become smart cities. The smart cities are smart, like I said, for somebody else, not us. And that little dog fence that I've been talking about is you and me and anybody else that's inside that smart city when they decide to pull this.
So, Deanna, what can this Board of Aldermen do?
Watch the contracts. Watch the enemy. Watch the contract and the enemy.
Okay?
You should know who that is by now. I've brought some of that information in here and I was shut down.
We're watching our contracts.
Okay. That's all I need to say. Thank you,
you.
Mayor.
Madam Clerk?
Our next speaker is Lonnie Graff, speaking on trespassing homeless.
My name's Lonnie Graff, and I'm currently homeless. My problem with it is it's discrimination, because they classified the homeless, like at a gas station, because we're homeless and anybody else that's homeless, you can't go in that gas station parking lot. I went up to 76 Inn one day. I pulled in there to talk to one of my friends. They arrested me, took me to jail. I spent 10 days in Taney County over it, and I wasn't there 5 seconds. You know, I don't know what we can do about it, but it's just, I think it's against our constitutional rights to discriminate against a group or you know, I just think it's wrong. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Lonnie. Madam Clerk?
Our next speaker is Gary Groman, speaking on incentive policy.
Boy, am I wired for this. I mean, you might not be, but incentive policy. As I recall, last October, while we were discussing the approval of an incentive for an organization, some questions came up. For example, what should the conditions be? For example, should it be, but for this incentive, they don't get it? One person came in and said that they were 90% through with their business, and they didn't think it should be given to a competitor. And based on that and other comments, I believe we wisely decided to hold a series of meetings. That was held in I believe, January and February. My memory's slipping a little bit this week. And we were going to issue policies that were going to govern the issuance of incentives so that all future incentives were issued in accordance with a standard policy and fairness. My question, if I may ask this question through you, Mr. Mayor, is has that policy been adopted?
Go ahead, Kathy.
Hello, Gary.
Aye.
I would love to answer your question. So we've had lots of great conversations internally with all of our different teams. And of course, we use outside legal counsel and then outside economic development counsel as well. And so as far as the meetings and the back and forth on draft plans, we've been having those activities go on. But we plan to bring something to the board for formal adoption, most likely either end of July or first part of August. I'm sorry we're not fast enough.
You've explained the extremely efficient way that I would expect that you operate, and I know you operate. My point is, as we sit here right now, we have no policy. And my suggestion is, should somebody apply for incentive, that it might be appropriate to delay that incentive until that policy is adopted so that it can be fairly applied across the board. In my opinion, an incentive policy should not be a gift. An incentive policy ought to be issued in those cases where the development's going to bring a lot of people to Branson or cause people to stay longer in Branson or spend more money in Branson. That's the only reason that an incentive should be given. But I would ask you, in the event that someone applies for a policy for an incentive, that it not be granted until you approve the very policy that you said you needed and held meetings for. Give us another month. We've waited this long. What harm's another month going to do?
Gary, one more thing I want to just draw your attention to is we do have a current economic development policy that's up on our website at the City of Branson.
Okay.
So we've got one now. What we were looking to do is update, modernize it, if you will, look at different potential ways that this board might want us to start to emphasize on. So really, we're not starting from scratch. We've got an established policy already in Branson. So anything that we would bring before a new updated policy would fall into underneath those sideboards for us.
Could I just ask one more question? Does that policy include, but for the granting of this incentive, this project would not have taken place?
I don't remember. I'll
Okay,
look.
That's
I'm not
good enough for
sure.
me. That's
Yeah.
good enough.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Yeah.
Our final speaker is Brian Seitz, speaking on special presentation.
Gary, don't go too far. This might be newsworthy. All right, for the record, I am State Representative Brian Seitz. Most of you have known that I owned Music Country News for 15 years and advertised for the shows, the attractions, the restaurants, and so forth as an intercept piece. So I have a healthy respect for the news media. Here in Branson, we have the Branson Globe, we have the Branson Tri-Lakes News, other papers that do a really good job in presenting actual news, not just spin, but actual news, and I appreciate them in all their forms. But tonight, I have brought a certificate of recognition for a very special individual, and Gary, I'd like you to come back forward. See, I tried to stop you from sitting way back there. I'll read it as he comes forward. This is from the Missouri House of Representatives, myself, the 156th District Representative. Gary Groman is being recognized for his work at the Branson Globe and his dedication to journalistic integrity. A man of character and distinction, Gary has served our community in an exemplary manner in bringing thoughtful discourse to journalism. So, Gary, I would like to present this certificate of recognition. Gary's done a great job over the years. Do I always agree with everything he says? No, and that's an aspect of good journalism. So Gary, we love you and we appreciate you.
Well, thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
Wow. Congratulations, Gary, and thank you, Brian Sykes.
Do you want to take back your public comment now, Gary?
That's why he got the award, is because of those comments.
That's right.
Madam Clerk?
We have no more speakers this evening.
So next is the consent agenda. Are there any items that any member of the board would like to have moved or brought down from the consent agenda to ask additional questions or comments? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you please read the items on the consent agenda?
Your Honor, the items on the consent agenda are as follows. Approval of the Board of Aldermen minutes for the June 4th, 2024 special meeting and June 11th, 2024 regular meeting. Acknowledge receipt of Human Resources minutes for the October 18th, 2023 meeting. Acknowledge receipt of Planning Commission minutes for the May 7th, 2024 regular meeting. Acknowledgement of disbursements for May 24th, 2024 through June 14th, 2024. Final reading of Bill Number 6455, an ordinance amending Section 2-71 of the Branson Municipal Code pertaining to procedures for regular agenda. And final reading of Bill Number 6456, an ordinance accepting funding from the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission Transportation Alternatives Program, TAP, for transportation enhancement funds for improvements along West 76 Country Boulevard from Shepherd of the Hills Expressway to west of Missouri Route 165 in the amount of $400,000. Your Honor, that concludes the reading of the consent agenda.
Thank you. Do I have a motion approving the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, would you provide a roll call vote, please?
Lucas,
Yes.
Denham,
Yes.
Cooper,
Yes.
Howden, LeBlanc,
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
The result of the vote is 6-0, motion carries. Your Honor, the next item is a resolution of the Board of Aldermen of the City of Branson, Missouri, setting forth the facts and reasons for the necessity to amend and increase the city's annual budget for fiscal year 2024.
Wow. Our staff report will include 3 people: Michael Woods, Cherie, and Ben. Hello, Ben. Do I have a motion to adopt? Oh, nope, we need to get the report first.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the board. All right, so what a joyous occasion we have today. After many, many months of working through hundreds of design professionals, thousands of hours put in, the support of the police department, support of architects, engineers, the builders that are here, navigate that help lead us through the way. Today we're going to take a moment to speak about the police station. Many moments ago, y'all bought the White House Theater, and we're going to do a little bit of a timeline and kind of work our way through, but I would be remiss if I didn't call out the help of, it takes a village to do this, of office staff, people that spent time today to answer any of the questions that the general public has, and to make sure to get that out. So with no further ado, we'll start moving forward. A little bit as the mayor precluded to, I'm Mike Woods. I'm going to do a background information, timeline, and presentation of the plans, the cost of the new police department. Chief Eric Schmidt's going to do space needs and programming needs that went into the project. And then Ben Hart and Cherie are going to take care of bonding and budget amendment items in this project. Who benefits and how? The police department renovation will provide more adequate space for continued growth as our city continues to grow. Local community, travelers, and visitors will experience improved emergency response times due to the police department being centrally located. With cutting-edge technology and design, we have the capability to be a center of education and training for staff in the community. This will provide police and fire a coordinated space also to use. A little bit of background. The city had acquired 11 acres parcel land at 2255 Gretna Road that includes 66,500 square feet, formerly known as White House Theater. This land that was purchased is roughly 11 acres, but will also allow us to expand other services in the future with ample land to build on. The city completed a spatial needs assessment and moved forward with the design and construction of a public safety building at the site. The city would demolish the interior of the structure and repurposes the police department. As a part of the due diligence of the purchase, a feasibility study was performed to determine if the building was feasible and create a new home for our police department. The challenge that you all have given us, the population of the locals continues to increase, causes delays, the current police station and supporting teams. Safety of our officers, community members, and visitors is limited with the current shortfall of space for our officers to work and lack of a central location in the city. Improved emergency times, you'll hear that over and over again. Enhanced support and duties and services. Location, location, location. This board and some of the members that are on this board delivered us the perfect location. To deliver the service, the White House building location footprint readily supported the concepts and our needs. Inflation and post-COVID construction costs have significantly increased lead times. Labor costs have doubled and tripled in some cases. This led us to go to the drawing table multiple times to present this to you, making tough, critical decisions to create an on-time and on-budget police department. Promises were made and promises were kept. I take you down memory road, as many of you are in this picture. Project goals. The scope of services include architectural design and demolition of the existing interior of 66,500 square feet and the redesign of approximately 42,350 feet we're providing today. The city's police department will also show a temporary holding facility, a community training room, and many other services that are there. To create a long-standing command center that supports additional resources and personnel as the city continues to grow, it also offered a safe harboring building in the event of emergencies and is an ideal location with roads and access throughout the community. A little bit of a timeline, 2018 to 2023. In 2018, the city originally bought a piece of land at 311 Forsyth. In 2022, under your vision and direction, we initiated the purchase for the White House Theater that was a wise investment of our money. Assessment and feasibility was completed. In August, after doing due diligence, the approval of the plan, design, construction, police department into the much needed home that they need, many, many years ahead of the original estimated timeline. In March of 2023, the architect was hired of Hafer Welker. In June of 2023, probably one of my best memories of this project so far was the auction was held. Over $64,000 worth of material that was left behind from the former tenants. The funds were applied directly right back into this project. Then we hustled. We worked through schematic design. We designed phase one, made sure design and general design options were taken care of. The needs assessment of each officer and group, lots and lots of meetings with all of Chief's visionary and his people. Phase two of the design began with more involvement of specific construction materials and structural details of the building. That was design development in September of 23. In November, we had authorized a third-party estimate. Budgetary reevaluation was necessary at this time as those numbers came in. And at the same time, under the leadership of Alex and Kathy and the mayor and the board, we were able to bring on Navigate. Navigate is an independent company out of St. Louis that helps municipalities waver through this and provides the techniques and the knowledge to get us through. We worked through value engineering, multiple hours of that. We looked at design alternatives. We looked at industry benchmarking, detailed estimate and scheduling for phase one in November. Some fun pictures that were there from Yakov being there to the live. A lot of you joined us there, and that was good times. These are some of the pictures. If you look at the walls that are there, those are drawings where we went over and over and over, almost relentlessly, to the point of every square inch of this needs assessment and making sure it was right. Lots of input was put into it. 2024 to present, so this year, Navigate Phase 2, we kicked that in January. Document prep, contract development, direct procurement activities, project marketing, pre-bid conferences, bid analysis, interviews and recommendations. That's a mouthful in its own. 90% construction plans were delivered to us in March. We're closing to the finish line of sending it out to bid. Construction documents in April, we opened it up to everyone that wanted to come see, everybody that wanted to come bid. We had 2 bid pre-walkthroughs, and it's important to note that we had addendums 1 through 5 that were pointed out by our contractors of things that could be better, things that could solve another problem. Over 1,800 comments of engineers, architects, city staff, all the way down to IT were incorporated into these plans, so everyone had a voice. We had closed bid opening in May 23rd of 24, and review and scoring of bids. In June, we did a notice of construction award. Cornerstone Building Services is here with us today. Their notice of award, and we'll be moving forward with your blessing with them. We're also asking for bonding approval today. Total program budget, Cornerstone, Navigate, Hafer Walker. Construction costs are $12,481,194. All in, moved in cost, $15,792 and $2, I apologize. We are excited about coming in under budget. Here's a few pictures of the brand new Branson Police Department. Many of you that are here today got to walk the halls and talk with each of us and talk with the chief and talk about the needs that we had and what the building will look like. This evening, we share it with everybody else online and everybody else that has an interest. Chief's gonna go over the basic layout of the building in a little bit more detail, so we're gonna skip through this. We did wanna notice that one of our bid alternatives was finishing upstairs, and we had a successful bid that was low enough to allow us to take care of that. Fire administration, along with police services, and a centralized location in the center provides conference services in that time of need for our community. Here's an outside view as we go around. Some of the interior views, once you walk in the front door, one of the greatest things that was done in this project was that a central dropping spot, a spot for officers to talk to one another and sit down and really converse. These are the cubicles or the islands that are there, the workstations. Realizing probably the hardest thing I had to realize at first, it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. They're shared by multiple shifts, very similar to what you would do at a fire station. The entrance of the lobby. So the lobby that's there, this is where our guests and visitors may enter and get police services as they must need. The training center was well thought out beyond thought out. I give Chief Schmidt lots of credit for all the different things he went through there. He made sure it was dividable. He made sure that the chairs were swiveled, the desks were swiveled, that they could do different configurations. And his hope and desire is to bring some of the best training in the United States here to Branson. Some outside, this is important to highlight that some of the things that we did cut outside that city staff will work through and take care of. We've already been out there trimming trees and making sure that we're good stewards of the taxpayers' dollars. Moving forward in 2024 to 2025, that's where we're here today, asking for your blessing and your support in this project. After today, if accepted on your part, we'll issue a notice to proceed and the construction contract will go in place. Contract mobilization will happen in July to August. A ribbon cutting, a breaching of the door, as Chief would say. 540 days per construction contract, and our staff and the builders are confident that they will deliver in less than 540 days. At the end of 2025, Branson Police Department will move out of City Hall into their new home, and we will welcome them to their new home. We are excited for the future for Branson Police Department. We're excited for your support that you've given us this long. We're excited to celebrate the end of one of the stages to deliver. With that being said, I introduce Chief Eric Schmidt, and I'll be happy to answer any questions at the end. Mr. Mayor, members of the board.
Wow, Michael, thank you very much. Hey, Chief,
Yes. Go ahead. All right. Mayor, members of the board, thank you, and thank you. We are excited, and I'm going to touch on just a bit of that here quickly. For those of you that have been paying attention, you know the space limitations that we were facing. We covered this ad nauseum back in 2017 when we were talking about the tax. So I'm just going to kind of flip through some of those pictures so you can see what we've been dealing with. Basically 9,000 square feet for 60 officers and support staff of another 20 to 25 people. So that's what we've been dealing with. This is what we're moving into. First and foremost, I'm very proud of the entire design effort, and we were able to involve all of our employees through a committee approach so that everybody could kind of have a say, and I am happy to say that what we have come up with is everything that we needed to provide efficient and effective law enforcement to this community for years to come. The blueprints here show you just a little bit of what we are improving on, and I'm going to use a laser pointer here as we go. So that first thing there is a workout facility that is going to be very large and state-of-the-art and is going to allow us to improve the physical and mental health of our officers. Will require or allow us to hit best practices as far as our physical fitness abilities and really improve, hopefully reducing our workman's comp claims, things along those lines. He already showed you the cubicle area. This is important for us. We went away from a normal concept in police stations as far as just report writing areas. We wanted them to have room to spread out, to put pictures of their family up, because we are their second family and we do take some of them from their family. So we want them to be able to have that family concept there. The break room and the exercise room, both open out into that courtyard that you saw from that front picture. So our officers will be able to, and our employees will be able to go outside and enjoy that sunlight for not only working out, but if they're working a holiday, weekend, late at night, whatever, their family can come join them for a cookout and a picnic while they're there as well. So we're hoping to replace some of that lost family time while they're at work as well. Our detective area and extra offices now that we have, much more room. We don't have enough room for our detectives as it speaks. This is a much more secure and better holding facility, as well as what we call a sally port, which is a fancy garage that allows us to take people in safely into the holding area. But as you notice there's 2 bays. So we have the ability to actually have 2 cars in there bringing prisoners in, or we can drop a chain link fence that hangs from that and have an evidence bay as well. We process about 1 vehicle a month, so that's very helpful for us. Then another big, huge piece that we were able to accomplish is this training room. That is going to allow us to bring nationally recognized training to Branson instead of us paying to send officers out of state. So we save all that money, and when we host training, we get free spots for that training as well. So big financial turnaround for us, and because we're a tourist market, we should be very desirable for the training. The locker rooms here you can see are much improved over what we showed you back in 2017. Plenty of room for our officers and our employees to spread out. And then you all know from 2017 that we had off-site evidence. Now we're going to have all our evidence in one place. And so we can bring it in through the loading dock, and we have an elevator right downstairs for the evidence storage. So what does all that mean? Means that we're able to do our jobs much more effectively. We're going to have happy cops, happy employees, fit cops, fit employees, and the morale is already, we're seeing it. We're coming through on promises that have been made for over 15 years. So big, huge thank you to you guys for helping us get this to fruition.
Thank you, Chief.
Good evening, Board, Mr. Mayor, Ms. Kathy. Okay, so the resolution that we're bringing before you tonight, so now that we know what our construction cost is going to be, we want to amend the 2024 budget. So as you can see, the construction cost to finish the new police department is going to be $15,792,002. We currently have budgeted $6,274,074, and we have those cash funds on hand. We're going to do a budget amendment for additional $10 million to fund the infrastructure, and we are going to fund that through the sale of competitive bonds. That will give us $16,274,074 for the construction of the new police department. We will also be doing a we will also be doing a budget amendment and bonding for the cost of issuance of $750,000. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Wow. Anybody have a question for Sheree? Anybody in the audience have any questions for what you've heard?
Mayor, can we get it on the floor really quick, the resolution? Pretty, please.
Birdie, please. Entertain a motion to,
So moved.
So moved. Second.
now, where was I? Members of the board, anybody in the audience have any questions about what we're doing with our police facility? You want to come up and ask? Come on up. Excuse me, we have people listening also, so it's only fair for them to get to hear you. So if you wouldn't mind, thank you.
I don't have a question, but I have to say that the design and all the work that's gone into doing this for the police force is incredible. Like, everyone, I'm an outsider looking in from all of this, and that presentation was incredible. And I hope everything moves forward, because that police station is going to provide so much more for this entire city. And that's all I got.
Would you, and what's your name, please?
My name's Francisco Gomez.
Francisco. Thank you so much. I'm very excited for this. I know this board has worked on this for a long time. This is a culmination of Dr. Ralph LeBlanc's harebrained idea. He bumps into me back here and he says, I've got this crazy idea I want to run past you. Instead of building a new building, blah, 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 you know, the White House, it's huge, it has all this land, it's up for a distress sale. And from that question, you see the results. So thank you. Are you,
Mr. Mayor,
oh, we're all done?
can I share one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to echo what you said. You know, I'm a dreamer myself, Mr. Mayor, and I believe in big ideas. And I really appreciate Ralph for having this idea and your stewardship. Obviously, it was city staff, but you took a really keen interest to seeing this through. And to you, Mr. Mayor, the willingness to accept harebrained ideas and the willingness to think outside the box is just something that's fresh and new, and I appreciate it so much, because so many people would say, oh, what would people say? What are the downfalls? And we explored them, and I was one of the ones who asked a lot of questions, because I love great ideas, but I also see how things can get a lot of momentum, and I love how it's come to fruition. Boy, it'd be interesting to see in an alternate universe what the price tag would have been on that other project. So thank you to everybody on this board, you know, Cody, Chuck, everybody, absolutely.
And to piggyback, what is it, Francisco?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's just beautiful. I mean, just seeing what that's going to look like is incredible. And not only, like Chief Smith mentioned, the accommodations for the officers we have now, but I can't imagine that this wouldn't want other police officers to see this facility and hear what's going on and go, man, I want to go apply at Branson, Missouri and be a part of what they're doing there. Because if I'm a cop and I see that, I'm like, dude, these guys, they got it going on down there. Let's, you know, I just really feel like that this could really attract more officers and really keep us fat as far as being staffed. So I think that's a big bonus too.
Yeah. Just think about where we were 3 years ago.
I think we're like 19, maybe when I came on board almost 4 years ago, we were 19 officers short or something like that.
Because that's another testament to city staff and to Chief, is that our patrol division is fully staffed for the first time in decades. It's huge.
Can I add that for the first time in quite a long time, we don't have an employment announcement out there for police officer either.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. See, he wouldn't let us just brag on him. He had to jump in there, didn't he?
Ralph, what do you got?
Well, I just want to say, like, that was the reason for the harebrained idea, was because we were down patrol officers. We were down 19 patrol officers with, a couple in training and things like that, but we didn't have people, scurrying to come be on our force. And, the biggest deterrent for that was the operations, like where it was happening at. And so that's where the harebrained idea came from. It was like, how can we accelerate this process so we can attract more officers to take the load off of the officers that were engaged then, because those guys were working their face off. And they're at the, I guess, I slept well at night, but when you know that, how little officers were on the street at that time, you probably wouldn't sleep so well. But, I'm excited about this. When this was presented, like, I don't know, I think I might have dropped a tear or two just simply because of the pride of, like, this city owns a building that it could be proud of, and the preservation of an iconic building like the White House Theater, I think is really just another catalyst for that harebrained idea. Was, when buildings sit empty, they lose their life. And here we are able to preserve this thing, and it's going to serve this community for the next 40, 50 years with no problem whatsoever. So,
Yeah. We may
Mr.
have a new
Mayor.
chief before then. Who's that? Was that? Hold on. Yes, Artie.
I just think it's great that our harebrained ideas come from an alderman with no hair.
Good point. Ruth?
Well, I wanted to just echo what everyone else has said, but if anyone's had the opportunity to go down into the existing facility, you could really, really understand why this is so necessary. So a thank you to our chief and all of our police department staff. You've been cramped in quarters for a very long time. Very excited for all of you.
Yeah, I didn't know if this was premature because the last time I was in the police department, you saw one of the photos of the helmets on the shelves. I swear there's room for 2 more helmets up there. Kathy, you have something you'd like to share?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much to everybody for your supportive comments. But I need to do a little bit of bragging on Michael. And this is an extraordinarily large project just on its own. If that's all you had to do all day long, it's a full-time job. And I don't know if you all caught this, because not everybody knows Michael like the way we do, but there was a little catch in his voice and a little bit of emotion, and that is the extreme pride that he has in his team and his colleagues at City Hall, and for his willingness to have to, I always had to remind, not always, once in a while remind Michael, you have to be the bad cop sometimes, like no pun intended, right? So you have to be, I mean, we've got a budget, we've got to hit these budget numbers, and Michael, to his credit, reached out in consultation with Chief Schmidt and got the services of Navigate. Navigate's joining us tonight. Jen, I can't thank you enough for your wise consultation, your guidance, your value engineering, helping to guide the architects team as well at Hafer Welker to try and get us the best price without sacrificing quality. This is what really, by itself, a Herculean effort. And I'm so, so proud of my team. Every single person in City Hall, and there are dozens that were involved in this since the day I walked in the door here a year and 3/4 ago. And sometimes it feels like 10 years, and this is one of those projects that makes it feel that way. So I'm glowing with pride tonight about my team, but here's my commitment to you all. We will do this on time, on budget, because I have the right people running the show. Thank you.
Shout out Charlie Pride, too.
That's right.
Yes, thank you, Michael.
I think Michael had a kick of the TV interview was like the best part of the whole thing. So.
Was he interviewed out here? Yeah. Okay.
During the auction, like when he did the interview for the auction, was like amazed. Like he did.
I want to know where the popcorn machine ended up. I'm guessing Cindy. Yeah, you can't, it's hard to fight Cindy. Okay, with all that, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it.
Your Honor, this is the first reading of Bill Number 6457, an ordinance amending the adopted 2024 budget for the City of Branson to adjust monies in the Public Safety, Police, and Capital Projects Fund for an increase in the budget for cost and financing necessary for the new police building.
Okay, so this ordinance is to increase our 2024 budget for the cost of construction and for our cost of bonding. And this will allow us to execute our contract with our new construction company, so.
Do I have a motion approving this bill?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any members of the board wishing to address this? Members of the community? Wow, hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it.
Mayor, I move to read Bill number 6457 for its final reading due to timing and, excuse me, to hold these bids and get everything done in a timely manner.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any member of the board wishing to speak to this? Any member of the community? We are voting to approve to have a second read. Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. So, Madam Clerk, would you please provide this introduction for the second time?
Your Honor, this is the final reading of Bill Number 6457, an ordinance amending the adopted 2024 budget for the City of Branson to adjust monies in the Public Safety, Police, and Capital Projects Fund for an increase in the budget for cost and financing necessary for the new police building.
You've heard the final reading of Bill 6457. Do I have a motion approving this bill?
So moved. Second.
They're moving at the speed of business. Any comments? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, this is the final read. Would you provide a roll call vote, please?
Lucas?
Yes.
Denham?
Yes.
Cooper?
Yes.
Howden?
Yes.
LeBlanc?
Absolutely.
Schultz?
Yes.
The result of the vote is 6-0, motion carries.
Today is a good day for every resident and every business owner in Branson, Missouri.
Your Honor, this is the first reading of Bill Number 6458, an ordinance authorizing Gilmore and Bell PC and Baker Tilly Municipal Advisors LLC to proceed with lease financing for City of Branson public safety projects.
You've heard the first reading of Bill 6458. We'll begin with a staff report from Cherie and/or Tom. Cherie?
I think Tom is going to join us from Baker Tilly. He should be online.
Tom, can you hear us okay?
I'm being asked if we need a motion beforehand. I think we...
Can you hear me?
I thought we beat up this topic at the last meeting of, do we put it on the floor and then get a staff report, or do we get a staff report and then put it on the floor?
So, yeah, so that was the
Madam
code.
Clerk?
It's the code amendment
I'm here.
that we just
Can you hear
did, and it was just approved on consent. So it's not in effect yet, so we could do the staff report first and then get the motion in second until the next meeting, and then it'll change.
Anything else, Artie? Okay, let's move on. Tom, we can hear you. You can hear us?
Okay.
Hello?
All right. Are you ready to talk about the ordinance then for the
Yes, sir.
certificate of
Yes,
participation?
please.
Terrific. Well, I won't belabor it because you just heard a really fine presentation on the project, but this ordinance would allow the process to begin for selling the certificates of participation that will finance in part the public safety building. They would allow borrowing up to $10,750,000 for the project. The sale date is yet to be determined because there is some cash on hand. There isn't some great urgency to sell the certificates. We'll go ahead and plan to spend down some of that money before we start incurring interest on debt. As Cherie mentioned, we are proposing to sell this debt through a competitive sale, and as the name implies, what we'll do is on a fixed day and time, we'll take bids on the certificates with the lowest interest rate winning. This is a fine way to sell public debt because we take advantage of the power of competition. The ordinance before you also permits you to go ahead and start spending money on the project and then reimburse yourself from the certificates. With that, I'd be happy to respond to any questions.
Well, Tom, I really appreciate your approach, right? Watching every one of our tax dollars. So we're not going to borrow and pay interest on money when we have the initial money to start the construction. I know many of us thought we were going to see some relief with interest rates, which we're not seeing. But I believe with this kind of bond, and I know it's a fluid market out there, but we'll be looking at sub 5% interest rates?
Somewhere in that neighborhood. You know, it's since we're not going to sell the certificates for some period of time, I'm hesitant to speculate what the final rate will be. But if we were to sell today, yes, it'd be, you know, in the high fours.
Okay. I know, Tom, I've tried to get you to make a commitment for months. But understand.
Well, as I often say, if I could predict interest rates, you know, I'd be sitting on a beach somewhere right now.
Cherie, did you have anything you wanted to add? No? So we've had our staff report. Now we need to get a motion to put the bill on the floor.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Board have any comments? Audience have any questions or comments? Hearing none? Is this, I'll take them, let's vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it.
Your Honor, I move to read bill number 64, is it 6458?
58, yes.
Yeah, for its final reading due for timing.
Have a second?
Second.
We have motion and a second. Any members of the board wishing to address this? Anybody in the audience? We're now voting to approve to have a second and final reading. So let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, would you please provide the introduction for this item?
Your Honor, this is a final reading of Bill Number 6458, an ordinance authorizing Gilmore and Bell PC and Baker Tilly Municipal Advisors LLC to proceed with the lease financing for City of Branson public safety projects.
So you've heard the final reading of Bill 6458. Do I have a motion approving this bill?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Did you get that, Hill?
Yes, sir.
Any members of the board? Anybody in the community? Cherie. Madam Clerk, this is the final read. Would you provide a roll call vote, please?
Lucas?
Yes.
Denham?
Yes.
Cooper?
Yes.
Howden?
Yes.
LeBlanc?
Yes.
Schultz?
Yes.
The result of the vote is 6-0, motion carries.
Thank you, Tom, if you're still there.
Your Honor, the next item is a resolution of the Board of Aldermen of the City of Branson, Missouri, setting forth the facts and reasons for the necessity to amend and increase the city's annual budget for fiscal year 2024 for the insurance premiums for property liability, workers' compensation, and cyber liability insurance coverages for the July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025 plan year.
We'll now get a staff report from Ben. Hello, Ben.
Good evening. Good to be back in Branson. As you know, the budget is discussed at length every year. And as you also know that time moves on and things change and it needs to be caught up within the budget itself. So what we have tonight is an amendment for an increase in what we have budgeted for property liability, workers' comp, and cyber insurance. The budget is an increase of $360,000. It's a $1.5 million budget. It's spread over a number of different funds, and that's in your packet. Most of it's in the general fund, and then it's spread out with smaller amounts to other funds itself. The term of the insurance is July 2024 to June 23, or 25, sorry, not backwards, it goes forward. I can't make that happen. So the funding for this amendment will come from reserves, as they usually do. And as you know, we'll have budget savings throughout the year that allows us to catch up on certain things, and this is one of them. With me tonight is Haley and her team on the insurance piece, if there's any questions at all.
I can also tell everybody that this presentation in detail went through the Finance Committee. I'm sorry, the HR Committee. And HR Committee reviewed a lot of this. Insurance carrier was here to answer our questions, and it unanimously approved by the HR Committee. So now we do the motion adopting the resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Any members of the board have comments or questions? Any members of the audience? Look what happened. We lost our center field. Anybody in the audience have any questions or comments? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it.
Your Honor, this is the first reading of Bill Number 6459, an ordinance amending the adopted 2024 budget for the City of Branson to adjust monies in the various funds for an increase regarding property liability, workers' compensation, and cyber liability insurance coverages.
We've heard the first reading of Bill 6459. We'll begin with a staff report from Ben.
No change in what I've said just a few minutes ago. We are asking, we are asking for a double read on the ordinance, though.
And my comments are the same, except for Finance Committee, it was HR Committee. So do I have a motion approving this bill?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Anybody from the board? Anybody in the audience? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes
Your-
have it. Up.
Your Honor, I move to read Bill number 6459 for its final reading due to get them insured, I guess. I don't know.
We have a motion and a second. This is to approve having a second read. Any member of the board wishing to speak regarding this?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Briefly, we go over this a lot. Every one of these we take into consideration. We even have some robust discussions about whether we should move forward on second reads. They're all taken into consideration, and the only reason I vote for them is if they're absolutely needed for timing, like Clay said. Just wanted to make that point clear. So.
Very nice. Anybody in the audience? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, would you please provide the introduction for this item, please?
Your Honor, this is the final reading of Bill Number 6459, an ordinance amending the adopted 2024 budget for the City of Branson to adjust monies in various funds for an increase regarding property liability, workers' compensation, and cyber liability insurance coverages.
You've heard the final reading of Bill Number 6459. Do I have a motion approving this bill?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments from the board? Comments from the audience? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, would you do a roll call vote, please?
Lucas?
Aye.
Denham?
Yes.
Cooper?
Yes.
Howden?
Yes.
LeBlanc?
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
The result of the vote is 6-0, motion carries.
Thank you. Hey, Ben, thank you very much. Good to see you.
Your Honor, this is the first reading of Bill Number 6460, an ordinance approving a sales tax revenue reimbursement agreement with the MMTC Development Group LLC for a development known as the Social Birdie, and authorizing the mayor to execute the documents related thereto.
You've heard the first reading of Bill Number 6460. We'll begin with a staff report from Alex.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. For your consideration this evening is a sales tax reimbursement agreement for a new entertainment business development called the Social Birdie, located on Branson Hills Parkway. Before I introduce the applicant, Trey Pells, I'm going to provide a quick summary of the projects and some key provisions in the developer's agreement before you this evening. This development project consists of a 39,000 total square foot with 14,000 interior building with indoor and outdoor facilities. It has a 2,000 square foot golf pro shop, 4,000 square feet of pickleball courts, 20,000 square feet of a putting course, 10,000 square feet of a restaurant and bar, and 3,000 square feet for a golf simulator. To give you an idea of the scope of this project, this is estimated to be approximately $4.68 million in total. Funding for the development project to date is private equity and debt. The city anticipates that the development project will aid in the city's economy due to the popularity of golf and pickleball recreational opportunities with both tourists and residents here in Branson alike. This development project will remain subjected to the city's tourism tax, which will be generated by the sale of food and drink on the property, and which will also provide, of course, additional funds to our city's tourism tax trust fund. Additionally, the real and personal property of the development project will create additional property tax revenues for the city, and the additional combined city property and tourism tax revenue generated by this project will contribute significantly to our economic development of the city, which of course is a public good and purpose. Importantly, I'd like to mention this economic development incentive package is structured at risk to the developer and does not utilize city taxpayer funds in the actual development costs of the project. The applicant's requests for incentives stemmed from their incurred and unanticipated costs throughout construction that are attributed to construction difficulties due to the rocky terrain here in Branson. As part of our executed term sheet, the applicant was required to submit proof of anticipated site work costs, which were then subsequently vetted by Baker Tilly, our third-party municipal advisor financial entity, to fulfill the terms of this agreement. So to give you an idea, as part of this agreement that's for consideration this evening, subject to annual appropriation, the city will reimburse to the applicant, the Social Birdie, 100% of the allowable city 1% general sales tax revenue for a period not to exceed 15 years, beginning from the earliest date on which the project is open for business or until the value of this agreement equals $335,000, whichever occurs first. I want to note, the city shall not reimburse to the applicant any tourism tax revenues generated by the development project. This is strictly 1% city retail sales tax. In addition, and just lastly, as part of this provision in developer's agreement before you this evening, the city will administer a 2% fee to reimburse the city for its administrative costs, whether it's staff in our financing or consultants through Baker Tilly or our legal team, in connection with the ongoing administration of this agreement till its conclusion. So next I'd like to introduce you to Trey Pells of the Social Birdie. He'll get up here and provide kind of the vision and the overview of what this great entertainment attraction is going to do for our city and our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Hello, Trey.
Yeah, first of all, I've got to be honest. I'm not a seasoned developer. However, I've owned a handful of businesses in Branson, and I've got to give credit where credit's due. Mr. Mayor, Kathy, I know there's been some outside perception that the city can sometimes be difficult to work with and all those past things. I'm here to tell you as someone that's currently going through this, and I literally have inspections scheduled for tomorrow. The city is way better and easier to deal with right now than it ever has been. There's an openness, there's a willingness to help, there's people willing to troubleshoot. So I just want to say thank you guys to that, because it hasn't always been my experience, but right now it's been a breath of fresh air. Michael, again, earlier, has been a huge help this last week on a little issue that came up. I could see a few years ago, maybe it wouldn't have gone so well, but right now there's a lot of positives. So first of all, I have to give credit where credit's due. It's been a hard road. We thought this process was going to take us 8 months, and we're currently 2.5 years in. And so there's that. But we're also excited where we're at. Just to clarify, we're actually incurring still cost. Our project is going to end up being about $5.5 million total. Majority of our cost overruns have been centered around site work because the Lord has blessed us with an absolute gorgeous place to live. It's just not flat. But I wouldn't change it because I love the views. However, there's a lot of issues that come with site work, and there's a lot of the unknowns that come up. So that's been a lot of this. But I did want to provide a little bit of an update as far as where we're at. I've got a small video that I had one of my crew shoot today with just to show you guys a little sample. We are still in construction, so this video is not going to be all perfect marketing video. There is going to be still heavy construction going on, but we'll get this pulled up for you, and I'll kind of walk you through a little bit of it. We did it as a drone just because I think it casts the vision for what we have. Our vision and our goal was always this. We love Branson, and we love the tourists that come here. I've been a visitor to Branson since I was old enough to walk. I was a huge fan of the Baldnovers, the Presleys, the Bachelors growing up. Homer Lee, well, I still remember getting my picture taken with Homer Lee in Big Tex. Y'all remember that? Yep. Oh, yeah. So I've grown up in this town, grew up coming as a tourist, and now I'm a local. And our heart and vision for this was always to support both. We wanted a place that the locals could call their own. This is not a place that we wanted locals to come to one time and then never see them for another 12 months or until January when the tourists are gone. We wanted them to come back time and time again. However, equally as important, we wanted the tourists to find a place that they could feel comfortable. We know that Branson has a very large number of reoccurring guests, and we wanted to make sure that we can tap into that where we can give someone a different experience every time they come. Obviously, golf is I think we live in the golf mecca of the Midwest. I'm a golfer, and I'll be honest, I've kind of gotten to be a little bit of a golf snob by being here because I travel and play at other courses, and I'm like, even our lesser courses here are nicer than most places' best course. So we feel like we're pretty spoiled, and we wanted to do something from the golf side to honor that. And then obviously pickleball is the fastest growing sport in the world right now. And so anyways, that's really where our heart and a passion came from. In our name, the Social Birdie, we wanted a place for people to build social. We do desire connection. We want people to have a place where they can come, be seen, have a good time. It's common in the restaurant industry they use the term turn and burn the seats. Let's get you in, let's get you out, let's get the next guest in. I will tell you that's not our business model. We would love for Brian to come and stay there for 4 hours if you would like. We are not going to rush you out. We want you to come, relax, enjoy being there, enjoy connection. A lot of our programming is centered around connections, and so that's just kind of the heartbeat of who we are. We want to try to be genuine with that, and so we are very thoughtful in our design on trying to create a very good social space where you feel comfortable and safe to come at. So you can go ahead and play the video, and it'll give you a little tour. You see here our putting course. I did not realize you put music on there. I apologize. That's our 18-hole putting course. That is inspired by 18 holes on the PGA Tour. That is our 4 pickleball courts. Still some construction going on there. But these are 4 premium pickleball courts. You see our patio. That is a 4,000 square foot all-turf patio. Bocce ball courts, cornhole, fire pits, fans. Should be good for all 12 months. You see a little bit about our golf simulators, the restaurant. We have Golden Tee for anyone that grew up in the 90s like I did. I'm a big Golden Tee fan. We've got the highest technology. You notice our golf simulator bays are the widest on the market. Everything we try to do was definitely premium from that perspective. The golf and pickleball shop, we are the largest golf and pickleball shop in the Midwest. And so we're excited about that. And again, this is still under construction, so bear with us on this. We've got a VIP room where we can do private events. We can host Mayor Milton's birthday party. So we've got a great space there. It's got a private simulator office space. But again, the views are exceptional. Again, we're really blessed with some phenomenal views there. And so we really wanted to honor that with the patio. And so we're coming to you guys tonight begging for a little bit of help. We've had a long road. Again, this was 2.5 years a lot longer than we all anticipated. As you mentioned, this is self-funded plus debt. Myself and my business partners, we have given everything that we've got to make this thing happen, and we are at the finish, almost to the finish line. But this tax rebate is going to be a big help for us to help offset some of the overruns that we experienced. And again, Baker Tilly was very thorough in their process. I did not know what I was getting into, that was a full-time job. I thought asking my my father-in-law permission to marry his daughter was going to be difficult, and that it was interrogating. That process was interrogating. They did a very good job to really scrub through the numbers, and we provided more than enough evidence of our request on that. We're asking, I think, 335. Our site cost was actually just shy of $1 million. We're closer to 900,000 on just site work. That's before we ever went vertical. And so, again, we love the Ozarks. It's just rocky here. But anyways, we would love the support of this. We are so close, but this would be a huge help.
Trey, 2 questions.
Yes, sir.
You announced grand opening July 3rd.
Yes, sir.
Still on for that?
Ask me tomorrow. Yes, we ran into one little snag today, and we are hoping and praying that we are going to have a solution on that. So we have final inspections tomorrow. Little hiccup with the contractor, but we think we're going to get that all worked out tomorrow. So.
Second question, could you be more specific on the elevation issues that you had?
Sure.
Other than, if you look at the map, other than this elevation grade?
Yes.
And this elevation grade? I'm being a little bit tongue-in-cheek here.
Yes. So we brought in over 1,200 loads of rock. The problem is, anytime, without getting in too much engineering detail, I'll try to simplify it. Every time you go up a foot, that changes multiple other things. It changes the footings, the way that we structurally support the building, but it also changes stormwater. And what we don't want to do is create a facility and then all of a sudden it rains and the creek behind us is just getting flooded and flooded and flooded, and now we're causing flash flooding because we did a poor job of engineering. So every time you go up a foot, you have to consider stormwater detention and figure out controls and all that. And so that was a big part of it. It's really easy to say, well, why don't you just, bring in another 100 or, another 1,000 loads? Well, that changes the flow and all of that. And so that was a large part of it, is every time there was one calculation, it was back to the structural engineers, back to the civil engineers, back to geotech, and we would just keep going back and forth trying to find a solution. And so, again, that was just, there's not a lot of flat developable land currently, at least for what we've seen, that we are desiring. And so just like the car wash on 248 that I was a part of, the Branson Washco, we brought in 1,800 loads of rock for that because we bought a ravine. It was a great location, and we thought it was great for 248, but it required a lot of work. Same with this. We thought this was a great location. It was just the side of a hill. And so the only way to do it is to bring in a lot of excavation.
I'm very impressed. I need to put this on the floor so we can talk about it. Trey and I have already talked. Do I have a motion approving this bill?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any board members have any questions?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Trey, first off, thank you for those opening comments, man. That was great. So I want to share my opinion briefly on the topic of our economic incentive policy that was brought up in our public comment section. First off, Gary, I love you. That proclamation thing was really cool. So my comment is that, as Kathy mentioned, there is an economic incentive policy on the books. The real discretionary aspect of how we're going to revamp that new policy is going to be through priorities. Otherwise, it's based on what our attorneys allow us to do. And when I say our attorneys, I'm talking about the precedents that have been set nationwide and in this state for economic development packages. We've been through a crash course, a lot of us. And so I did want to share that, and I did want to share that the but for being rock certainly meets what we've been taught in this crash course, can fit into the economic incentive package that we are developing, which again, really only changes with this board's opinion on priorities. So, thank you.
Clay?
Isn't it ironic that you talked about, you brought in, what, 1,200 loads of rock? And your biggest obstacle has been the rock. Building on rock, but you need more rock to make it happen. It's kind of wild, isn't it? But that's a beautiful facility, man. I can't wait to visit it, and I've never played pickleball in my life, but I can't wait to try it. I am a golfer, but I appreciated your little, again, like Marshall said, what you said in the beginning, because you hear that all around town, like how hard it is and difficult, and it's good to hear somebody that's in the midst of it say something different. But I loved your little memory lane thing, you know, coming as a kid and the ball knobbers and watching the Presleys and Big Tex out there on his stilts, because I myself had, you know, I came here at 16 and used to go over and stand by Big Tex on the street and watch him give out pictures, and it was my favorite show in town. And then years later, I ended up buying that theater that was my favorite show in town. So, you know, the dream of doing something like that, I feel you, and it's pretty cool, man. And I know what it's like to be on the hook for $5 million plus. So, good luck to you, and I can't wait to get out there and do some golf with you.
Thank you. Birdie?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Trey, I just want to say welcome to Branson. You know, your business, I know what it's like starting businesses. It's not always easy and it's not always fun, but it's usually worth it in the end. And I know Glenn and I are already talking about getting with you to see about utilizing your facility to have some community meetings down the road.
That's great. Ralph?
Trey, thank you so much for what you said. Obviously, you know, we put a lot of effort in making that perception to the community different, and this is proof of it. And, you know, it's getting easier, but let me tell you what's hard, being an entrepreneur. Like being on the hook for that big number, dreaming big. So what I have to say to you is thank you and your partners for your commitment, your grit, and your perseverance in this. You projected 9 months, 8 months, 2.5 years. You got some staying power, brother. That's what it takes to make this thing successful. Blessings to you and your business partners, and we look forward to seeing that place flourish. Thank you.
Any comments from the audience? You need to come up to the microphone, please. I know.
Will you be able, or have you planned to host any tournaments there, pickleball tournaments?
Right, yes, please.
Yes, that is in the works. That is in the plans. We have worked very hard to make sure everything's regulation to be able to host some. We also hope and pray that, you know, we're successful with this because we want to hopefully grow our business and provide indoor courts very soon, which are really important for hosting tournaments. But we do plan to do some very soon, yes.
Thank you, Trey. Anybody else from the audience?
Strange as it might seem, my wired brain has really no problem with this because the city can't lose at all. If he's not successful, if they don't make money, they don't get anything. And the only thing that concerns me is I get 90% through a project and I decide that I need economic help. We are establishing a precedent, and as was pointed out by Marshall, you've got the discretion to do whatever you want. So, I mean, in my opinion, you're giving a $365,000 gift, and maybe we're getting off cheap. I don't know, but it's fine. He's not good. If he doesn't produce, he doesn't get anything. So you can't lose. But then, if I were going to start a development tomorrow, who's going to want to start a development without trying to get an incentive? I committed, hey, you got nothing to lose. You know, hey, it's a $5 million project. How about you gave them $395,000? How about giving me $395,000? And quite frankly, if the estimates work out that the income coming in is more than that, it might be a great investment. But I just think we ought to be aware of the precedent that we're establishing. And no, I think, how can you lose? If he doesn't make any money, you don't get any money.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gary.
Mr. Mayor, I just got a comment to that. And thank you, Gary, for that commentary. You know, that word precedent is kind of thrown around quite a bit. And, you know, we've had discussions. I mean, every economic development package that comes before our city staff and before us, you know, are looked at individually, and they have to stand on their own merit. It's not about what happened before. It's what, does it fit that model? Does it fit that, you know, that vision for Branson? And so, you know, that's the precedent. The precedent is that we are going to look at individual projects as individual projects and how they fit into the future of Branson. And that's how those economic awards are going to be had. It's not just, you know, come with a project and, you know, I guess get a check. I don't know, but yeah.
If I may, Mayor. Also, Gary, I don't disagree with your statements at all on that, because as you know, I voted no on the first big project that came through here a few weeks ago. And I know that, as Kathy mentioned, we do have a plan. It is in place. And I think this is kind of a situation where it can't be, I know everything's black and white, but I think we have to be a little bit, I think there has to be a little bit of gray on each one of these projects and take into consideration. I just don't think this can totally be a black and white thing. I think there's a lot to consider. There's a lot more to this story as well with Trey. And I'm in favor of this tonight. I wasn't weeks ago for that one, and I may not be for the next one, and I might be for the one after that. But I think there's a lot to consider, and as you said, I think each one is an individual case that we look at and we consider how is this going to better Branson, and then go from there. So,
yeah, and Gary, you know, I think as a community, we've been well schooled on what happens when you have an oversaturation of TIFs, right? That's why I think we're just, you know, kind of exploring these other projects that don't quite get up to the level of a TIF. I have similar concerns. What if every project has an economic incentive? What if, you know, a $2 billion project comes in and half of that's remitted, and then what about the infrastructure? I think there's been great points that have been made on both sides about, well, would that increase the jobs of these other businesses? Would that increase our income? I think the important thing is that we do these incentive packages based on the growth, right? But your comments do not fall on deaf ears. And I absolutely am not just going to be a rubber stamp for every single one of these that goes forward. And the same with TIFs. It's funny what Clay said about the different projects. As a kid that sat out here, I came into one TIF commission meeting and everybody said they were against it. I came into the next one, everybody said they were for it. So it's a case-by-case basis based on cannibalization, based on the but-for test, a lot of things like that. And so, yeah, I definitely think we're going to take all those things into consideration, and that's where those priorities that I was talking about come into play. Having a plan but that it's going to better our community, and what sector it's going to be in, and all those kinds of things. So, thank you.
Anybody else? Lynn?
Maybe just one brief comment. I think the other thing, just in general, for the public to be aware, besides going in front of Alex and staff to see if this even begins to meet our requirements, that once they say, okay, this looks viable, the company making the application has to hand over a substantial sum of money that funds our cities using third-party organizations to analyze what they're showing us in their finances and their business model. So it's not as if they can just walk in and suck up a whole bunch of staff time and next week appear in front of us here looking for money. They've got skin in the game. They've got serious investment they've got to make, and they may fail. At the end, that may not pass the test, and then they're done. And if they make us spend more money than what we originally took from them, we go back for more money. Because they're the ones that have to fund the third-party analysis. So I just want to make it clear, it's not an easy cakewalk to get to the point where Social Birdie is today.
Anybody else? Hearing none, why don't we vote? All in favor of this, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alex.
Your Honor, the next item is a presentation by Angie Teal on the 2024 first quarter Branson Convention Center report.
Hello, Angie.
Hello, Board, Mayor, Kathy. Good evening. Did y'all enjoy your lunch today?
Yes, and I enjoyed it in a beautiful convention center.
Awesome. That's actually one of the new menu items on our catering menu that we're going to be rolling out here in a few weeks. So we're really excited about that.
I even like the vegetarian. I thought it looked good, too.
I kind of wished I'd got it once I saw yours.
Well, I'm glad. Yeah, that's great. Okay, so I'm here to present the financial report for first quarter of the Convention Center for 2024. And one of these days, this one, okay, this one.
I blame our chief for that. He left the other clicker down there.
Okay, perfect. By the way, if this feasibility study says that we need an expansion of the convention center and it happens, I would love him on the design team because that design and layout is incredible. Okay, so in first quarter, so January through March, we had about 33,000 visitors through the door, 112 event days and 35 total events, and average that's about 3.2 days per event. And then, of course, our lovely economic impact was about $29.4 million, which is just about $400,000 shy of what it was at 2023. So pretty great return there. Oh, I went backwards. My apologies. One more time. There we go. So I have been working on this occupancy report, and I'm excited that it has finally come to fruition because I'd like to show you guys what the occupancy of the individual spaces. I also like to break it down by day, but then overall total occupancy. And of course, this is for the first quarter, so this is historically our slower time, but we're still at 43.5% occupied for that time frame. And if you look at it, this report will help me show what days that we can go after for some additional business. So I'm looking at this and I see that there's room for some Sunday and Monday business. Obviously, those are some of the more challenging days to fill with meetings and conventions, but we can sit and talk about a plan to bring in some of those single day events. Also, we turned 54 events definite during that time frame for the coming years and months. And down at the bottom, you will see that we have, this is part of our new survey platform that we talked about the last time. And it does allow us to get pretty granular on some of our attributes that we like to score ourselves on. And it's still kind of in the early phases, so we're still trying to gather more and more data, and we're working on a strategy to be able to capture more of that. But the really exciting news is that our experience is being rated at 100% from our guests and our clients. So that's really, really exciting. I'm really proud of the team for that. And then and that's for our event organizer surveys. And then if you look over at the guest survey scores, so these are the people that are attending events and they have scanned our QR code that is about around the building on our digital signage. And they have, they rate us back. And this is a way for us to get our real-time data and things that we can change on the spot. You will see that our food and beverage score is a little bit lower than I would like to see it. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One is that there wasn't a whole lot of responses. And this was an attendee that attended an event that didn't know that a cake was ordered from an outside vendor that was never delivered. The perception was that the convention center didn't produce a cake. So we called that guest and were able to explain that to them. And then safety is at 79%. Again, that is something that I would love to see a higher score on. And I actually engaged with ASM has a corporate security team, and they came in, they were just here last week, and they did an on-site assessment of our security practices, and they are going to produce a report for us that is going to tell us if there's some infrastructure that we need to put in place, if there's staffing levels, training, things like that. So I'm hoping to have that report here in the next couple of weeks, and I'll go through it and look at those recommendations to get that score up a little bit. And then here are some of our highlight events. We had the Student Mobilization Conference, which brings in just about 1,200 people over those days. And those are great days because it's the beginning of the year. They actually usually move in on New Year's Eve. So it's a great time to bring in those amount of people at the beginning of January. We also had the American All-Stars, which is a cheer competition. We had the Missouri Manufacturers Association, American Quilters Society, which that's a huge event for us, brings quite a few people into the building, and we are working on a multi-year deal with them to bring them back for plenty of years to come. And of course, we had the Monass State Archery Tournament that had about 6,000 athletes this year. And I don't want to spoil it, but keep your eyes open for a save the date for a special announcement for that event. And of course, we have to talk about the financial performance. So in 2024, for the first quarter, we are just over $1 million in gross income, and we had $1.1 million in expenses for a net income loss of $78,000. That was the budget. And I'm happy to report that we were ahead of budget. And bringing in actually a profit of $28,000. So we were budgeted to lose $78,000, and we actually brought in $28,000. And that is a 4% increase over gross income over budget, and then a $35,000 better than same time last year. And then we utilize $158,000 of the marketing incentive funds for that time frame. And I also like to brag on the team that they've been working on putting out press releases on a monthly basis to drum up some more attention in the media for the convention center. And happy to report that we were featured in 2 issues of the Springfield Business Journal. One was talking about the economic impact of the events coming in January and February. And then they also reached out and did an article comparing us to our neighbors up north in our convention business. And we fared very, very well in that article. And just a couple of things that are new at the Branson Convention Center. One of the vendors that we have been working with is called Maui Wowie, and they bring in Hawaiian smoothies, and that has been extremely popular at a lot of our sporting events and dance and cheer competitions. We also brought in several of the local coffee providers here in the area and did a sampling with the team, and ultimately selected Table Rock Roasters to be our local coffee blend at the convention center. So people are able to get that at our concession stands as well as on our catering menu. And of course, if you all saw today, we have some beautiful new carpet in the concourse area. Next week, we are going to be tackling the ballroom and the rest of the meeting rooms. So pretty soon, it's going to have all of the fresh new carpet, and I think it really updates the space and just gives it a nice fresh look. And I think the pattern's pretty neutral, and you can really see yourself hosting different types of events in that. You wouldn't think that you would get that from a carpet, but it happens. And one of the challenges that I gave the food and beverage team this year was to introduce the new concession items. We're actually, fingers crossed, we're going to try to get one in a quarter, but this quarter we introduced walking tacos, and it's been extremely popular. We're utilizing the concession stands that we cannot currently cook in, but utilizing it in a different way than we have been in the past to offer a new cuisine item. And then the last thing we did is, heavy on recruitment for some of our part-time positions. This picture here is at the Missouri State Hospitality Career Fair Day, and we were playing on the theme of March Madness, so we bought a Pop-A-Shot. We wore jerseys that looked like we were actual basketball players, and we challenged the students to a Pop-A-Shot competition. If they won, if they lost, it didn't matter. They got some Branson Convention Center swag to take home. So that's been extremely popular. We actually did it at College of the Ozarks at their fair as well, and I don't want to say we were the most popular booth, but we sure did have a line of people waiting to play Pop-A-Shot. It's at the convention center if anybody wants to challenge me. And then one of the other goals that we have for the year is to celebrate the team. So very excited to bring on 2 great veterans of the industry into the organization. Ashley Peacock, she is our Director of Event Services. She has previously been in Tulsa, Oklahoma, as well as a property in Texas. She brings a lot of great experience. She's helping update our event policy guide. She's going to help a lot with the venue security processes and things like that. So really excited to have her on staff. And then Kanan Greer, brought him on as a sales manager. He was from the Springfield market, so we're bringing him in to hopefully capture some more of that business from Springfield to bring him on down to Branson. And they've both been delights to have on the team. They're really great. And then, again, continuing on to the celebrating the team, we took the team out to tour Thunder Ridge Nature Arena just to show them a great project that's happening down in Ridgedale, but also to show them what a construction site looks like and also give them ideas on how to kind of create that guest experience that maybe they're not expecting. So that was a great tour. We took the team to the Chamber Annual Luncheon and were able to celebrate with them and everybody there. And then just some little fun things that we've been doing around the holidays. We took a cart of Valentine's Day treats around to the staff, and they were able to pick different things like roses and donuts and candies and all that fun stuff. But then we also were able to give the team some swag to wear during St. Patrick's Day. So that was a fun little picture that we took there. And here's some upcoming events. Obviously, these have already happened because I apologize. I was supposed to be here 2 weeks ago, but I was ill. But most of these events have already happened, and they were extremely successful. And we are packed to the gills with events. And I don't know if you've noticed, but there was a big giant duck in our parking lot over the weekend. It was the world's largest rubber ducky, and we would have loved to put it in Taneycomo, but it was cost prohibitive, and the environmentalist in me didn't think that running a barge for 4 days straight, keeping a duck in one spot was probably really good, considering trout fishing is kind of popular in that lake. So, but no, we've got a really great lineup of events. We have another dance and cheer competition this weekend. It's their nationals, and we're looking forward to all of the athletes at that event. And then this is just a reminder of the goals that we have for the organization. I want to make sure that these are in front of everybody on a daily basis so they know why we're here and what we're doing and the reason behind what we're doing. So again, looking for a net positive financial performance, which in Q1, we made it. Fingers crossed that we keep that going for the next few quarters. Client and guest satisfaction, again, that we want to, those scores that I do think need some improving. We're working on some strategies to make sure that we keep those at a high level. Obviously, producing quality products and services, looking at bringing some additional training in for the staff. We've already updated our event policy guide and working on a venue operating manual. And then, of course, improve employee satisfaction, because if they're not happy, then we have other problems to work on. So that's my presentation. Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions for Angie?
I do.
Yep.
Okay.
First of all, did you have some family in town last week at my shows? There were some people really throwing your name around in the lobby.
Those were actual former coworkers from my previous building that I was at. I got to work with them for about 14 years, and they are just the delightful people. And when they said they were coming to Branson, I was like, you better come see me.
Yeah, they love you because they told me all about it.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that makes me happy. I'm going to make sure to send the good ones to you, not the bad ones.
Right. On the safety, the 79% for the safety, can you give me some reasons what would make that number low? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, I think it's presence of the security staff. And so we have, I know this is going to sound crazy, but we put them in uniform. I mean, something so simple, but that's not something that was in place before. But putting the staff in uniforms that say security, doing more rounds. We are working on staffing standards to where an event based on its size and what's happening is going to be required to have more security at the event because, you know, right now we have 2 guards on at all times, and they're protecting the venue, watching the cameras, making sure the doors aren't open that aren't supposed to be open, keeping things locked. But there's a life safety code where you're supposed to technically have 1 trained crowd manager for every 250 people that are at the building. And right now, I don't feel that we're meeting that. So I want to make sure that we're being as safe as possible. So off the bat, I would say presence of security staff.
So that could just been a person that's noticed there, I don't see any security around. It was yeah. Because I know how one little comment can.
Exactly, yeah. And if they, you know, and like I said, we're still in the process of gathering more data. So if you have 1 negative score and you only have, you know, 10 or 12 responses, that 1 score can really pull you down.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Hold on, Birdie?
2 things. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And what is the status update on the escalator?
The escalator?
That's not working?
Or is it? I don't have a report of an escalator not working.
The one by the parking lot is not functioning.
I have no, it was functioning over the weekend. I took it up and down on Saturday and Sunday. So I'm not aware of an escalator not functioning on the south end. Was it reported to you or no? I walked up the stairs. Okay. Were you at, because, okay, so it might not have just been on. If there is not activity on that end of the building for an energy saving cost, we don't always turn them on all the time, because if I was gonna put energy drainers on a postcard, I would put a picture of an escalator on it, because they just suck energy. So it might have just been an event that it was not on.
Well, it was today.
Oh, was it today?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, well, I will look into that. It was not reported to me. Thank you.
Ruth?
Angie, I just want to say thank you. You always provide such thorough presentations to us, and we really appreciate that. And thank you for all you're doing. Your employees do brag on you, so thanks for all you're doing for the community.
Thank you.
Marshall?
Angie, I just want to note, I think it's really cool that the biggest rooms that you have the highest capacity of full, you know, and that one of them is 84% on Saturdays. That's pretty remarkable. So just keep up the great work, and looking for a net positive year. So
I'm trying to get back to that. I'm probably going to blow past it and like go back to the presentation on the police department or something. There you go. Yeah, so, and those are probably the Saturday and Sunday.
well, Exhibit Hall A and B,
Yeah,
those are the highest, and I just find that notable because of the fact that they're also the biggest rooms.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, so that just shows that you have really, you know, a lot of great, and then Exhibit Hall A, 84% on Friday and Saturday. I mean, accounting for January and February being somewhat slow, I mean, that's almost full capacity, so really tremendous.
you're right. And, you know, not every event can fit into a 46,000 square foot exhibit hall. So we're very blessed with the events that can happen in that time frame in those larger spaces.
Mr. Mayor?
Ralph?
I don't know, really more of a comment. You know, we talk a lot about that 12-month economy, and like seeing this first quarter, this is a catalyst for that very thing. This is, you know, this convention center is really supported the community in a greater way than ever imagined. And, you know, for first quarter numbers like that, I know there's room to grow in that in smaller groups. So get some guys out there and get the word out. But I think this is a catalyst for that 12-month economy that we're always talking about, because as we said earlier, if you build it, they will come, and it's built, and they're coming. So we just got to put more feet on the street and more butts in seats.
And we are investing. We're changing up our marketing strategy a little bit. Jordan Canifax, the director of sales and marketing, her and I have meet weekly to talk about our marketing strategy, and we have some cool assets that we're working on to put out there.
Glenn?
Great report, Angie. Very uplifting, very encouraging. Thanks. Can you give us a minor update on where we are with our expansion study?
Absolutely. Right now, they are in the interview phase, so they received a list of contact information for people that were in the meetings and community stakeholders, venue managers, and things like that of different properties. And they have been conducting interviews over the last couple of weeks with those folks. And on Thursday morning, they're going to present to me the initial findings of what they did from those interviews. So that will be this Thursday, and then once we go through that, I'll ask all of the questions, and then they will move on to the financial analysis part of it. So yeah, we're real close. I'm pretty excited about it. I'm excited to hear what they have to say. I know what I want them to say, but I don't know what they have to say.
We're all very excited to hear it.
Anybody else? Anybody from the audience? Bobby, come up.
I am hoping that the convention center can be a good neighbor to Branson Christian Church. Because when the Women of Joy come in, they take all our parking, and we literally have members who drive around the block, can't find a place to park, and then go home and miss service because there's no parking.
Yeah, we could definitely work on it. Can I reach out to you to find out like service times, and we can work on like some signage and stuff for your parking? Are you the person I can work with on that?
You can call the church secretary.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that for sure.
I don't have the number on me,
Do they have a website? I can look it up on the website? Yes. Okay, I'll do that.
I'll have our
Branson
people
Christian Church.
contact
You
your
got it.
people.
I'm going to write that down right now. Because they're here twice a year. Okay. You bet.
213 South Commercial.
Who else wanted to speak? Oh, Candace, there you are.
Thank you. Every year, we hold our police banquet there. And this year, there was talk that we would not be able to receive it free because of the change over in the management. Can you address that, or have you broached that subject yet with them so that we can have that space for our policemen?
I have not been made aware of it not being free. We, for city events, we are always looking at being as cost efficient as possible, and free rent is always one of the things for city events. So do you have any information on who you spoke with about that I could follow up with it?
It was just announced or discussed in one of the meetings that we may not be able to get it free, but it wasn't definite, so I just need some assurance that it's.
Well, the whole event isn't free, right? It's just the
No,
rental.
just the rental.
Yeah,
which
just the
saves
rental.
us several $1,000s.
Sure, no, I totally get it. Yeah, if you have names of anybody that that were saying that, I would love to talk to them and see where that information is coming from.
Or we could just get a clarification from you, from ASM, that we are in fact going to be able to have it free.
As long as the dates work out, we can discuss that.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome, thank you.
Anybody else from the audience? Hearing none, we're just accepting this report, correct?
I'm not asking for money. I'm not asking for approval on
I noticed
anything.
that.
I actually made money. That's pretty exciting. And I brought the world's largest duck.
I think.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Angie.
Your Honor, the next item is the public hearing and first reading of Bill Number 6461, an ordinance amending the Branson Municipal Code, Chapter 94, pertaining to electrical vehicle charging stations, more specifically Section 94-61E18, removing the special use requirements for Level 3 electrical charging stations and clarifying the permitted zoning districts and modifying Section 94-87F.
We will now open this public hearing and begin with a staff report from Amanda Ross.
Board, City Administrator, thank you for your time tonight. Chad, can you upload me? Thank you. All right. So this code amendment addresses the Level 3 electric vehicle charging stations. Current code requires Level 3 charging stations obtain a special use permit if located within the neighborhood commercial, mixed use, downtown, entertainment zoning districts. Allowed by right in the community commercial, business, and industrial zoning districts. Here you'll see the definition for electric vehicle charging station is in Section 94.5. EV chargers are quickly gaining traction nationwide. Trends continue to move toward clean technology development. Requiring a special use permit for a Level 3 charger seems burdensome and just adds another layer of regulation that isn't needed. Utility companies require a permit for an EV installation. The city requires a building permit, so they are monitored and permitted. Branson has over 10 million tourists annually. EV chargers offer additional resources for travelers needing this service. In Section 9461 would be the use and structure standards. It is where we are proposing changes, specifically to 18B, number 2, to strike references to the different zoning districts where is allowed or restricted to add EV3 charging stations as a permitted use in all zoning districts. Level 1 and 2 electric vehicle charging stations are currently permitting in all zoning districts. Section 9487, off-street parking standards. F2, the max parking calculation exceptions are listed here. Under C, you have spaces with electrical vehicle charging stations up to the maximum of 2 per 50 parking spaces. Staff would like to add, or as determined by the planning director, just to give some flexibility in case we get a use that exceeds the max of 2 per 50. The Planning Commission recommended approval of the code revision with an 8-to-1 vote during the June 4th, 2024 meeting. Staff recommends approval of the code amendment. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Amanda. Anyone in the audience wishing to speak on this? Oh, Representative Sitz.
We deal a lot in the Capitol with electric charging stations and mandating things like that. When we're saying 2 per 50, is that going to be a definite something we have to have, say, in the downtown area where we have limited parking as it is, that every 50 parking spaces where the city might mandate we're not saying that, are we? I saw that up there, so it's a little confusing. Okay, it's not mandating, it's just what?
So currently in our code, that's what, it's 2 per 50, but by allowing the planning director to have flexibility on that, we would be able to address it.
It's just allowing 2 per 50.
Okay,
So
so if
it's
they're
not
not
requiring.
necessary for that area,
That's
then they
correct.
wouldn't have to be there taking up 2 parking spots that we might need.
That's
Okay,
correct.
good, that's what I wanted to clarify.
Thank you for the question. I had the same question. I'm like, is this something we have to do? Yeah. I'm sorry, I should ask the board first. Glenn, you have something?
Yeah, thanks, Amanda. I, kind of along Representative Seitz' comments, even with your picture up there, Tesla did a survey of where the next level 3 chargers should go in the United States. Branson came out on top on that survey. So there's a good chance that we'll get, now Tesla's, upset their apple cart and what they're doing with level 3 chargers all of a sudden. But up to that point, there was a good chance that Tesla themselves would come in here and put a whole bay of chargers, just like you've got on your picture there, of Tesla chargers with no other spots. It would be strictly chargers, spots, and that's it. And so I'm kind of in the same vein. I'm a little surprised at the restriction. It almost seems like industry-wise it's going away from that, and it's tending to be concentrated EV charging stations. Any thoughts on that?
Over the past several weeks, we have had some calls. I think we don't advertise where those locations are. I had to actually do the search for it. We do have them, and we are getting calls pretty much weekly for more, just with the amount of tourists coming into town. I'm happy to meet with you offline to discuss anything further if you like.
I do like the proposal. I think we really need the level 3 chargers in Branson. No matter where you sit on the whole electric vehicle spectrum, there's clearly drivers that are not able to get the charging that they want when they're visiting us here in Branson. And I think anything we can do, like you're proposing, to reduce a barrier to tourism is a great thing for Branson. I've had some inquiries from business owners on the 76 strip from 65 up to the Tractor Museum area and some of those spots as to whether those might not be a suitable spot for a large level 3 installation. And I fully support it, so I'm glad to see we've got the ordinance behind it.
Thank you.
Who pays for the electrical usage?
So it's my understanding that they service these, and so if Tesla were to move in, the user would have a fee that they would pay, and they would pay that to the developer, whether that be Tesla or whoever brings those in. So there is a charge to the individual using that, or whatever company it is that has
It's like a
those.
gas pump, isn't it? Where you swipe your credit card and then you charge? I don't have one, for the record. I'm just going by things I've heard, so I'm pretty sure that's how it's done.
I can
It
maybe
depends
give
on
a
the
little-
implementer. Yeah, I mean, as a previous Tesla owner, you they make it pretty easy. You just drive up, you plug in, it knows what car you have, your car's linked to your account, and they automatically charge your card, and you drive away, and it's done.
And if I can add a little bit to that, with the level 3 chargers, completely different from level 2. Level 2, you can add those to almost any existing building because you're drawing off standard circuits. With level 3, they have to bring in substantial infrastructure to make these things work. If you've ever seen the back end of a Tesla area, there's what you would equate to being huge transformers and everything on a pad. And that's really what's made Tesla successful is they just come in and drop those things right in and they're ready to go. And I think that's the model that some of these third-party companies, like you see on the graphic, are starting to follow as well. They pay for all that infrastructure. They buy the electric from the company, from the utility. And like Chad said, when you pull in, you swipe your card, or in the case of Tesla, you don't even do that. And it automatically bills you as the car owner for that. So it's a business model to
Going
itself.
through a toll gate, it just.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Amanda,
Yes.
are these prohibitive? In other words, can a person in a non-electric car park in a EV charging spot?
It's a good question, Marshall.
I
don't
can
know
answer
that-
that one for you.
Okay.
We have a city ordinance that prevents it. There's a city ordinance that says you cannot park in an electric charging spot with a standard vehicle.
Who's going to enforce that?
Our new police department and beautiful building will come out there and enforce it.
Well, what I would say,
Like we do the 2-hour parking now?
my 2 cents would be that, to Brian's point, and to some of the questions that have been asked, if these become pretty rampant across the city, maybe we re-examine that ordinance. So, yeah.
And they all will still have to acquire a permit. It'll go through that permitting process, so they'll have to meet all the criteria to be able to place those throughout the city.
Well, I say thanks again. I think this is a great amendment to our ordinances, supports tourism. I think it's the right way to go.
Thank you.
Any other comments? So we'll now close the public hearing. And so you've heard the first reading of Bill 6461. Do I have a motion approving this bill?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any further comments from the board? Any comments from the audience? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
How many ayes do we have?
No, then, if you'd rather have that.
Oh, Artie, you voted no.
So yes, I have the result of the vote as 5 yes, 1 no, the no being Alderman Lucas.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Your Honor, this is the first reading of Bill number 6462, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute all easement documents related to the West 76 Country Boulevard project for the leased properties contained in the old airport property.
You've heard the first reading of Bill 6462. We'll now hear from Holly. Hello, Holly.
Good evening. I am here asking for the city to grant an easement to themselves. So we are part of and participating in our support of the 76 CID easements for segments 1 and 2 as they relate to the old airport property. And so we're asking for this so that you can authorize that easement. So if we ever sell that property, the easements are already in place. The easements will be for pedestrian way, vehicular access management, and streetscape beautification improvement, along with utility easements in the undergrounding of utilities.
Great. Do I have a motion approving this bill?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any board member wishing to speak? Anybody in the audience? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Artie?
Thank you.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Your Honor, this is the first reading of Bill Number 6463, an ordinance approving the contract with Pro Phoenix Corporation for the purchase and installation of a computer-aided dispatch CAD system and records management system, RMS, for the police department and authorizing the mayor to execute the contract.
We need some walk-in music for that.
Excuse me, board. We're in the middle of a meeting. You've heard the first reading of Bill 6463. We'll hear from Eric Schmidt.
Mayor, Board of Aldermen, thank you. When we were planning this whole project for CAD, I didn't expect it to be on the same day as the police department, but it just worked out that way. So when we talk about momentum for the police department, this is just keeping it going forward. As you know, we have been unhappy with our CAD RMS system for years now, and we were finally financially able to seek bids and go through the research, whittle it down, and selected what we believe is the best company for our needs. And so we've worked an agreement with this Pro Phoenix for their CAD RMS, and it is going to solve a lot of issues for us. Right now, our officers are having to do a boatload of duplication. The new NIBR system that came in federally, the system we have is not compatible with it, so it basically causes them to have to write their report twice. And so this new system will not only slimline all that to eliminate the duplication, but it allows for better information sharing, and it also comes with its own set of analytics so that we don't need to bid for an outside analytic company to do our stats so that I can come and give you guys reports on how well we're doing. So the total price of this contract over a 5-year period is $811,000 and change. That includes the first year installation and first year costs, which is the bulk of the contract, approximately half of that, and then the remaining are the renewals for that. This also moves the system to a cloud-based system for us that's on the AWS platform, and that is going to open up our officers' ability to use mobile devices and allow us to do some different use devices, hopefully get some of that room back in that patrol car, and allow them to just go take pictures, have people sign things, tickets, everything off of one platform. So we enthusiastically recommend approval.
Wow, sounds great. Do I have a motion approving this bill?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Anybody on the board have any questions, comments?
So you're basically consolidating everything. You're getting rid of some stuff and getting it all on one.
Yes, it's allowing us to eliminate like our current e-ticketing system, but more importantly, it's allowing us to get caught up with technology and bring everything under one umbrella, and it will auto-populate for us, which is huge, because once the dispatcher enters, say, a person's name and information, it draws right into all the reports and everything we need. So it's going to save a lot of duplication effort.
And I see you're asking for a double read. Is there, what's that?
The reason is this has been delayed. We started this back in January, and we're trying to get this done as soon as possible because we're going to be in a situation where we have to pay our current CAD RMS company while we're doing this, and if we have an overlap, we're going to be paying double. So we're trying to get the time frame down as fast as possible so we can save money.
Chief Smith, how does this compare in price-wise to the current CAD system?
It is more expensive, but it is approximately, for the month or the yearly cost, approximately double of what we pay now. But again, it eliminates the need for several other programs and the analytic programs and so forth, which actually allows us to utilize our crime analysis program.
And I take it that this is all within your current budget. There's no budget changes as a result of this?
Correct. This was originally budgeted for, and that was the budget amendment that the council addressed back, I believe, in around springtime, March, if I can remember correctly.
Any other questions from the board? Questions from the audience? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Your Honor, I move to read Bill number 6463 for its final reading due to saving some money. That's what I heard.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Anybody on the board wishing to address the approval of the second read? Anybody in the audience? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, would you please provide the introduction for this item?
Your Honor, this is final reading of Bill number 6463, an ordinance approving the contract with Pro Phoenix Corporation for the purchase and installation of a computer-aided dispatch CAD system and records management system RMS for the police department and authorizing the mayor to execute the contract.
You've heard the final reading of Bill 6463. Do I have a motion approving this bill?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion from the board? Questions, comments from the audience? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, with the final read, would you provide a roll call vote?
Lucas?
Yes.
Denham?
Yes.
Cooper?
Yes.
Howden?
Yes.
LeBlanc?
Yes.
Schultz?
Yes.
The result of the vote is 6-0, motion carries. Your Honor, this is the first reading of Bill number 6464, an ordinance approving the memorandum of understanding for the school resource officer program with the Branson Public School District and actions related thereto.
You've heard the first reading of Bill 6464. We'll begin with the staff report from Chief Schmidt.
Your Honor, members of the board, thank you. I'm actually excited to bring this to you when I am, because usually we're behind on this particular one. This is a yearly MOU with the schools system, Branson Schools, and this is what allows us to put our school resource officers in the campuses here in Branson. So basically spells out who pays for what. In our case, 75% is paid for 2 of the officers, and we assume the cost for the remaining 2 officers. Spells out training as well as overtime, and kind of who does what. As you know, we don't want the police in the schools necessarily to be acting as security guards. This is all about building rapport and building future relationships and giving the kids somebody to look up to and to hopefully get them on the right path. So we spend more time basically working with the kids than playing security. They have their own security for that. So we do recommend passage of this MOU so we can keep doing what we've been doing in the schools.
So out of the 4 officers, 2 of them, 75% of their salary is paid by the school district.
Correct.
25% from the city. And the other 2 officers, the city picks up the
Yes.
total cost. Where am I? I'm having a Biden moment. Have we put this on the floor?
No, sir. It has not been put on the floor.
So, do you want to put it on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any members of the board wishing to address this? Marshall?
Sorry, go ahead, Marshall.
Chief, so that was an interesting comment that I heard. So about them not being security officers. That's sort of, I guess it's sort of new to me, but I want to explore that with you for just a second. So are there extenuating circumstances, say, God forbid, an active shooter, where they in turn essentially become a security officer at that moment? I mean, is that how that works, or?
No, they're much better than a security officer at that moment.
Sure. I appreciate that.
They're a police officer at that moment.
Good answer, Chief.
Yeah, so obviously we do train for exactly that. Now, we're not going to share our secrets or anything, but as you've seen across the country, we're on the leading edge of that. And absolutely, they're a tip of our spear in a situation. Security cannot necessarily deal with that. So in a life-threatening situation, or if, say, there's a fight going on, we're certainly going to stop people from being injured and so forth. But our first priority is not to be the disciplinary arm for the school or security watching a door. That we need to be dedicated to being able to interact with the kids and build those relationships. And so that's what we focus on. But yeah, certainly if the chips are hit the table, we're all in. Yep.
I think you use that word just saying we're way more than just there to be security. I mean, I understand what you're saying, being there for the kids. I know a few years ago, I'm not sure if it was right when I came in, but not all the schools had resource officers, I believe. What was that, just 5-6 years? Only the high school maybe had it?
Correct. So we have, in conjunction with the sheriff's office, we have now an officer at every campus in Branson. And in fact, we are going to use, now that we're getting to full staffing, we get to put our 4th officer in, and we're going to put a 2nd at the high school because we're satisfied with the county deputy that we have at Buchanan.
Right.
He's got a good relationship. He's doing everything we need. So we'd rather have the 2nd one in the high school to provide that extra coverage.
Well, I'm just I remember saying, because I had kids at Cedar Ridge and junior high, and I'm like, how come we only have an officer at the high school? And I'm just so glad that this is in place and that we have an officer at every school in this district, because I just think it's very important, not only for security, but building relationships with these kids that need a role model.
Absolutely. And Marshall, so you know, when I say we don't just focus on that security piece, Officer Mobley actually runs the chess club for the high school. So that kind of shows you their extra effort in building those relationships. And Clay, to your point, we need to start at elementary with kids. We need them to understand that we're the good guys, and sometimes they don't always have that in their lives at home. So this is for them to understand that we're there to help.
Chief, in regards to this, it's kind of directly related to what you just said, but indirectly related to this. Do you have a junior police academy?
So we actually have had in the past, and we're working on bringing it back, the Explorer program. And so the Explorers run through the Scouts of America, and anybody from 14 to 21 can join. In that case, we do have an academy that they go through, and they basically become a cadet for us and let them explore the occupation to see if it's something they want to do for the rest of their life. That's how I got my start, is in the exploring program. I started at 15, was in a high-speed chase my very first ride, and off and running since.
So you're saying that this is something that you're trying to bring back?
We're in the process. We just have to work our contract with the Scouts of America. We're teaming with Tanny Canny as well, so we can draw from other high schools. And we're hoping to do this in conjunction with GoCaps as well.
We can still call it Boy Scouts, Chief.
Any other comments on?
I read through the MOU. Thank you for providing that. Was there any, I didn't see the last version of it, any substantial changes between these two versions?
No, it's pretty much been the mirror version for about the last 3 years now. So.
Thank you.
Questions, comments from the audience? Yes.
Hi, I'm Beth Schultz, part of the Branson Citizens Police Academy alumni. We had 8 of us here tonight. I have to say, just as a citizen of Branson, when I go through the city and I just talk with kids that are at the library, at the bookstore, selling their cookies, whatever, and they tell me what school they're at, and if I know which officer is there, I'll comment on it. And they're like, oh, yeah, he is so cool. He did such and such with me. So I know that's working. And I've never had that opportunity at any other city that's something like that. Is not disciplinarian, but it's that building of community from the kids going from the young age up. And I think it's just terrific. And I've heard kids tell me this. So it's working, Chief, and thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Any other questions, comments?
That training room's going to be great for those kids to work out of, isn't it?
Yep.
Kathy's going to encourage us to move this on. So, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Thanks
Nope.
a lot for all you do.
Not in this one.
We're now at the report section of the meeting. Alderman Lucas, do you have anything?
Yes. In regards to our discussion that we had at the last meeting or the meeting before in regards to the crypto mining, I had gotten several calls from of the and they were very concerned about it, and that's one of the reasons I asked for Cindy? Candace's information to be included in the minutes, but Jack Jordan came up to me the night before the meeting and brought me a petition signed by 46 residents of that neighborhood that are, we, the undersigned, urge government leaders to deny the development and building of data centers and cryptocurrency mining centers anywhere in the Branson area. And so I'd like to include this in the minutes as well.
Hill, you good with that?
Yes, sir, we can do it.
He had called me this week and asked what they should do if they were opposed to it. And I said, first and foremost, contact your alderman, which he did, and come to the meeting, bring as many of the members of your neighborhood as you want, and then the next thing I said was to start a petition, and so he did.
Okay, we'll discuss it at another time, but I'm curious of why so many signed to say no. If they meet an acceptable decibel level, meaning it doesn't bother anybody, it has the facade, and it's not going to interrupt our power issues, then I don't know why somebody would say, no, I don't want it if it's not causing any grief.
There's a great deal of information on the internet that is directly contrary to what the people that made their presentation the other night told us with respect to noise levels. And that's one of the things that Candace's report would have talked about. These communities, Murphy, like she mentioned, they said they were experiencing sound levels, noise levels that sounded like a jet engine taking off but never leaving, 24/7.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. Anything else, Artie? Ruth? Clay?
I look forward to exploring that more. I know it's at a later date, but yeah, I'm in the same boat as you are. I don't understand why we would be against it, but if that's proven that that's an issue, then I get it.
For sure.
Anyhow, no, that's all I have.
Great. Marshall?
I guess my only thing I would add to that is that the guy said that there's newer technology. So I'm curious to explore if that's true or not, right? Hey, so Maria Sarek was here. I don't know if she's here anymore. I wanted to welcome her to City Hall. That's really exciting. I think that'll be a great addition to Lisa Rao's department, Mr. Mayor. Her parents are iconic performers in the city of Branson. And, want to make a little report here based on a couple things that I've been to in the last few weeks. I got to attend the Tribute to Valor reception. Boy, really incredible. And we got to see a video by some young kids and just showed how they were moved by that. It was just tremendous. And then Tony Orlando, as he's known to do, basically gave us a speech. And I was ready to run through a brick wall, just how motivated I was. And it's sort of the theme of my brief remarks tonight. I kind of felt the same way hearing the governor's remarks this morning, just about motivation and everything we've been. I know that everybody up on this board has put a lot of hard work into getting to where we are at. And it's truly inspiring to listen to people who know where we're going and where they've been. And then if you'll indulge me for 10 seconds, it all brings me back to the fact that my college baseball team won the College World Series. Hoorah!
Glad that has to do with city business. Ralph?
I guess my report is, wow, summer's on. Weekend was, holy cannoli, like traffic filled, Jeeps everywhere. It was amazing. The duck, I mean, it seemed like everybody was floating a duck in their pool too. That was pretty cool. Everybody got on board with that. I think it's just more to come. I know, people talk about the economy, but, people want to have experiences and people want to, make memories. And I think we're the perfect backdrop for that to happen. State of the state, Marshall mentioned that. The governor was, gosh, I say he was a little fiery this morning. He says, I got nothing to prove. This is my last, pretty much talk. It was great and definitely very inspiring. And the other things that's inspiring is the level of dedication and focus and all the things that city staff has put on to the new police department. Chief Schmidt, Michael Wood, everybody that had a hand in it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. From a harebrained idea to this is going to come true now for our city. And like I said, it's going to support this city for many, many, many years to come. And, besides just being a police department, I mean, it's going to be a backdrop for many other things. The mayor, talked about, or he's talked in the past about the veterans or the Vietnam Memorial Wall that we own. Finding a place for it, maybe, that's a backdrop for it, and just other things. I mean, wow, what a great community. And it's really, the community itself is inspiring. The residents of the community, like, really, I don't know, they give me the courage to get up every morning and do what I do with this. So thank you all, and I appreciate everything.
Thank you, Ralph. Glenn?
Yeah, I agree too. The police department's exciting, and it's great to be in a city where you can go through a $16 million proposal and all you get is applauses. I don't know where else that would happen, so that was fantastic. Artie and I, Alderman Lucas and I, have walked probably now about 80% of the downtown businesses, I would say. We spent another day out there, had to come back, reload for business cards. We hope to finish up the rest here in the next week or two, so that's been interesting. A lot of people very grateful to meet us and talk about some issues. We talked a lot about parking again with people and kind of all over the spectrum in terms of downtown parking, and we're having some discussions about that with staff, so we'll see what we can do with some of those things. And just as exciting is in 2 days here, from 5 to 7 o'clock, will be the preview of the next phase of the downtown project. So Mike will be on stage once again, showing off yet another project that's going to keep city staff awfully busy, but it's an exciting one for downtown. A lot of people are anticipating it. The reports I've heard so far is everybody's very happy that it's starting in January, hoping for good weather, a little skeptical about the overall schedule, as you might expect. A little experience there, perhaps, but very excited that the project is coming and looking forward to seeing the drawings on Thursday. Like Alderman Lucas, I got a ton of calls and emails on the crypto thing. It's probably the most active subject since I've been an alderman. The first thing I want to say is I was really shocked. A couple of people started grilling me. Well, why did you vote in favor of it? Like, well, what do you mean? Well, what they watched was they heard the crypto presentations and then they just saw the vote. Then the vote was yes. And not understanding that the yes was to put a moratorium in place, a 100-day moratorium, so that nothing can happen until we get proper city ordinances in place for this type of business in general, and not that one business, but in general. We're trying to get a general ordinance for anything, anywhere in the city related to data centers. So we didn't approve it, and in fact, it wouldn't have been approved by the aldermen, even if that was their application. It wouldn't come in front of us. So we've got the moratorium in place. I know staff is anxiously trying to get this back in front of the aldermen so that we beat out the 100-day clock on the moratorium, and I think the business that's considering locating here would appreciate that as well. So we're doing our best to make that happen. One other thing, and I know Mayor and I have talked about this and a number of aldermen. Tonight, the public comments, I always enjoy our public comments. And tonight, there were a lot of good speakers, a lot of nice things came out. But on the average night, I'm getting a lot of comments from the public that range from, well, that's entertaining, to that's annoying, to that's embarrassing. And I think if this continues, and Mr. Mayor, I appreciate how hard you try to rein this in at every chance. Without naming names, I know you're trying very hard to keep it in control, but it still persists. So I think if this persists, I think we're going to have a discussion about a different approach to this, to allow public input, but to do it in a more intended fashion where it's talking only about city business and those kind of things. So I just bring that up as something we may have to address here in the near future if it continues. That's it, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Well, Kathy?
Just regarding the news about this petition having to do with that issue, I just want to, I'm very hopeful that the public just waits until we can get enough information gathered, and our goal as staff is to be able to put together what we think would be solid recommendations in order to protect the integrity of our current neighborhoods while still being meaningfully friendly to economic development. But I also want to assure everybody here and the city that, of course, we're going to make sure that we do the best we can to protect the current residents. So, but we have to be fair, and we have to do our information gathering first. And I'm just hopeful people keep an open mind about it and at least get more educated about it as we progress further in the conversation. We do have a couple of upcoming conversations. Our staff has been working really hard on this, amongst a million other things in planning, Amanda, goodness. So there's a lot of plates spinning at this time of year in planning right now, so that's very challenging for us. But we will follow through on our commitment that we will get you some sort of a proposal that we think maybe strikes a good balance, and then it will be debated in the public sphere here for people to come and learn more about the topic and voice their opinions. So we very much look forward to those dynamic conversations. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. And I agree with everything you just said about the process we want to go through. Just a few things. I just want to acknowledge that our State Representative Brian Seitz has attended our meeting. We've had many discussions with Representative Seitz over the past, especially his last several months. And boy, what a great job he is really doing to represent our community. And Glenn, I am open ears for public comments. I will admit my pendulum leans towards free speech, and I want to encourage more and more community input. We've had some challenges, obviously. I'm open for suggestions. And so if you or the board comes up with any ideas, I know actually Gary Groman has a idea that he floated by me not long ago. So I agree that our time is valuable. Other than that, I have nothing. I appreciate you all. Michael, I think you're doing a jam-up job. Amanda, bless your heart. Some of these directors, like Ted Martin, Chief Schmidt, Charlie, they come and ask for things, and it's always yes, 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 and you spin on the other side, running your tail off with no appreciation. And Chad. Don't forget Chad. That's all I have for this evening, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We have a first, second, and third. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Artie, anything? Meeting adjourned.